Click play and call it work.
Hey there guys, welcome to this week's Sit and Talk with me, Quirk. Yeah. Today we're going to be going through a bunch of questions that you left behind. Lee's in the room with me, he's staring right at me right now. It's always fun. Remember guys, if you want us to read your comments, leave a comment below. If you're on YouTube, go ahead and click the link in the description below to go to MiniWarGaming.com and leave the comments there. Next week it will be Dave, so if you're going to leave a comment or question for Dave, put Dave in the beginning of the comment, and then the rest of it afterwards. If you want to reply to one of my comments, just put Quirk beforehand, and I will most certainly get it. But that being said, let's start this 30 minutes off with the first comment here from Aerith. Quirk, what is your favorite army of the Imperium, and why? Ooh, I think probably the Grey Knights, just because of like all the stuff that goes into their backstory and everything like that. They're probably my favorite. I can't really think of any specific reason why, other than just that they're awesome and because their job is to go around hunting demons. So I think that's pretty sweet. Next up I have Navihawk 11. Quirk, an attack in X-Wing only counts as a hit once it has bypassed the green defense dice. You often seem to get that wrong, counting the hit symbol as a hit to activate effects. I have made this comment in all of your videos, but I assume that they were all made at once in a big batch. You are correct. It is in the new rule book on page 5 in the compare a dice results step. Yes, I know that Josh, who is here now, actually kind of enjoys bringing it up on a regular basis that I got that rule wrong. I have fixed it since then, and future X-Wing battle reports have me doing that correctly now. One of the reasons why I was doing it was because when I was reading how the twin laser turret worked, it made it either seem really, really powerful or almost completely useless doing it the two different ways. And then I kind of realized the like sub rules for the twin laser turret, where the second shot that you do, you actually skip those phases. So that's where it kind of met in the middle, and that's why I was like, okay, you know what, this isn't that bad of a gun. But the thing was, if at one point you are actually able to throw defensive dice against the 3 shots and things like that, it makes the gun almost not worth its points. And so that's what was causing the main confusion in my head there, because that's one of the, I'm assuming that's the thing that you're going off of there, is because I usually did that with the twin laser turret and its effects. I also did it with all the effects that other things cause, but since figuring it out, I have corrected those mistakes. So, sorry about that. You'll see that fixed later on. Thank you, Navy. Next up I have Unpure. Hey Quirk, love your morning drive vids. I really ask questions to keep you busy. How many of the Office watch them? Yeah, I have like a thing a little vlog that I do in the mornings. I want to say none, but I feel like I'd be wrong, considering the other day I walked in and was just like, yeah, no, I don't break any laws when I do this. I usually stop at stop signs and read a comment and then keep going. And Josh was like, no, you don't. I was like, oh, and then Steve was like, yeah, man, I've watched those too. I was like, oh, I guess people in the office do watch these. I should really be careful with what I say, because I've made comments about them. Not bad comments, just comments, usually poking fun. So, but yeah, thank you. Next up I have Avolp. A-V-O-L-P. I'm not sure how to say your name, dude, I'm sorry. Quirk, what is your favorite food? What is the weirdest thing you've ever eaten? And what is the most stereotypical Canadian food? My favorite food is, it's weird, but it's probably like chicken noodle soup. I love it. People, I'll walk in like a restaurant and they'll be like, oh, on the menu today we have our soup of the day, which is chicken noodle. I'm like, I don't care, I'll have it. Right, yep, I don't even care. Weirdest thing I've ever eaten? Probably crocodile. Yep. That I know what it was. I've gone on like trips with my parents and stuff like that, and they've served up stuff. I'm like, what is this? They're like, I don't know. I'm like, all right, I'll eat it. I don't know what it was. It tasted good. Some of it didn't, but I don't know what it was, so I can't exactly say if it was the weirdest thing I've ever eaten, because I don't know what it was called. So the weirdest thing that I know I've eaten is alligator. And then I also had shark once, but I don't care for seafood. It all tastes like watered down chicken to me. So it didn't really do much for me. And what is the most stereotypical Canadian food? Probably poutine. Fries and gravy with cheese curds. In Canada, we have a bunch of like different little chains that are all trying to specialize and be like the poutine place and Smokes Poutineery and stuff like that. Like, these are all companies that are trying to make a name for themselves by making poutine. So that should tell you how popular it is in Canada. Thanks. Awesome videos. Oh, thank you. Also, I have like a small novel of comments here, and they're all kind of interlaced with comments for me as well as comments replying to Matt's. So if I start to read one and then stop myself, it's probably because it was intended for Matt. But yeah. So next up, I have Unpure had a comment for Matt about Raven Guard. And yeah, okay. Next up, I have Woodrowimpy. Woodrowimpy. Okay. Quirk, do you like teasing Chris about playing 40K more often? Yes. Yes, I do. It's just fun to bug him because he's got like this, he's got that times like 3 around his office, all with 40K models. I'm like, hey, there's like an inch of dust on those models. And he goes, yeah, I'll play at some point, but I got stuff to do. I was like, okay. So it's just really fun to bug him. Hi, Steve. I'm blocking Steve in. Do you want to try and get by?
No, it's fine.
Okay. The downside of doing this in the office where Steve sits and Lee sits is that they're going to be bugging me a bit. So, all right, next up I have a comment from MKON454. I'm not going to try and pronounce that if it was a name. Quirk, you have mentioned you are a fan of video games. I am a fan of video games. So have you thought of doing some sort of MWG gaming live stream similar to the PlanetSide 2 one Chris did with the cooler a while back? Thanks and keep up the great work. I would like to. The issue with that is that it's very difficult to fit it in the schedule with everything with everything that we're doing right now. What if I was to do it, what I would really like to do is actually do a live stream of Eternal Crusade and just get a bunch of people in on that and play. It's a very fun game. I very much enjoy it, and a couple people in the office actually have copies because of the trip to Montreal. I got copies for everybody in the office, so they've been having fun playing that. I would really like to do that, but right now it's just a struggle with schedules and everything like that to fit that in. So if I can do that, I most certainly would love to. Avolt has a comment from Matt. Dark Angels aren't loyalists. Don't let them fool you. And he's not in the other office, so he didn't hear that. Okay. Next up we have Sin Cities Only. Quirk, what older 40K army would you like to see get an update, and what would be required of that update to get you to play that faction? Honestly, Sisters of Battle. If they got an update and got some new models, and even if they had their old models recast, like all of them recast in plastic or even resin, I would live with the fine crack, like the fine cast stuff. I would very much enjoy playing them. I like their play style. They did get an update recently, and I like what they do, but the thing is, it's just really difficult to get your hands on a massive Sisters army. So I've played against a couple people who have Sisters, and when they do the prayers and things like that, they're really cool, and they have nice effects, and they actually seem like a fairly, not competitive, but they can hold their own against most armies, and that really like interested me. But the thing is, it's just, again, they don't have a huge selection of models available to them, and the models that they do have like a selection of, there's not much variety in them because they all come in pewter, so it's really difficult for you to like swap out the parts and do things like that. So I would very much like to see Sisters get an update of some kind. Another one that I'd like to see is, I like to see Orcs just get some new stuff. Like I said before, if they were to get, like, for example, Skimmers, like they go out and they loot and they raid and they take apart all these other things. So why can't they take apart like a Raider or a Wave Serpent or stuff like that and have like skimmer technology? Like the only thing they have for skimmers right now, I think, are the Defcoptas, and they're okay, but it would be cool to have them actually have like an open top transport that's a skimmer that can hold, I don't even care if it can only hold 10 guys. That would still be awesome to have that available, just so that they have that much more like maneuverability. Right now they have trucks and battle wagons as their main forms of transport, and they don't really have much for survivability. They don't have a Jinx save. They kind of rely on cover. If you bring a Morkanaut around, they have the custom force field, but that's a lot of point sink into something that a lot of armies just get normally with their Jinx saves and stuff like that. So it'd be cool to see Ludus get their hands on a couple of things like that, and I don't think it would be much of a stretch for Games Workshop to come up with a storyline on how they got access to these vehicles. So those would be some things I'd like to see. Marcassus, Matt, I love that shirt. Yeah, that was the non-flammable, challenge accepted. That was a present from his coworkers. Yes, I'm giving myself bragging rights. So, next up. Hellbell 13. Cool. I think you spelled my name wrong. Alright. Love your matches. 2 questions. I would... Whoop. Oh, okay. Would you think about doing more Death Dread army lists? Love the ones I've seen and would like to see more of them. I would. The thing is, most of the stuff that you've seen for the Death Dread list that I've brought are pretty much what we have available to us right now. There's a couple things that we just got in that are slowly getting painted up, but for the most part, excuse me, for the most part, what you've seen me field when it comes to like the heavy armored orcs is what we have available. I think we only have about 6 Meganobs with power armor. We only have 1 Gorkanaut, 1 Morkanaut, which I'm sure you're not going to bring more than that, but we only have those available. We don't really have much in the way of kill cans and Death Dreads. We have a couple of like scratch built ones from Dreadnoughts and things like that, but we don't have very much in the way of actual ones available. I know we got a couple in and Lee was working on them, but then he got kind of swamped with all the Horus Heresy stuff and the Wolfen stuff and everything prior to that, so he hasn't really had a chance to start working on the Orc stuff again. And because my desk is always getting swamped with my own stuff, like I got Alpha Legion, I have, you can't see it, but I have, oh yeah, you can see it. I have all this Alpha Legion here that I've been working on, plus I've got flyers and vehicles, and I've got more stuff in the warehouse in the back, so there's a lot of stuff that we all kind of got bogged down with, and so a lot of the heavy armored orc stuff kind of got put on the back burner. Like I've got 2 battle wagons here, as well as my custom Morkanaut right there, and they've been sitting there for months because I haven't had a chance to sit down and actually get to work on them. So, but yeah, that's, you will at some point see more of them. It's just not in the near future. It might be a little bit further out before you start seeing them. Next up we have, with Games Workshop coming to the very end of their Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit range, only benefit is the painting and modeling side. I would love to see them take up the Game of Thrones or like they did with the Lord of the Rings. What do you think? I'm not a huge Game of Thrones fan. Nothing against it, I just never got into it. I started reading the first book and I found Martin's writing style a little too bland for me. He goes way into detail about some things and then just completely skips the detail on others. And obviously you have to let your imagination kind of go with that, but I don't really, this is going to sound weird, but I like reading things that were done by like Tom Clancy and like Dan Abnett and stuff like that. I like when people go into like the extreme details and just, they paint the picture for you to the point where there's nothing really left to imagine. It's all kind of been explained for you. Like, I was reading the Splinter Cell series. It wasn't written by Tom Clancy, but it was written by another author who follows in his style very, very well. And at no point did I have any question about what was actually happening in the room. I knew the placement of everybody. I knew I pretty much knew what the temperature in the room was because of just the detail that these writers will go into it. And I'm a huge fan of that, where I found Martin was they're walking in the woods. Okay, what season? There's snow falling. Okay, it's winter. Onto the leaves. It's fall. Like I'm all over the place with that. So that's just personal preference for me. I couldn't really sink my teeth into his book, so it was a little bit difficult for me to kind of get into it. And I didn't really get into the TV show because people have told me that the TV show doesn't follow the novels very well, and I've never been a believer that the movie is as good as the book. I've never seen a movie where it was that, so I don't want to try and get into the book series after watching 2 or 3 episodes and being like, okay, well, I know this happened in the show, but that's not what's happening in the book, and now I'm confused. So that's pretty much where I'm at right now. If anything, I would like to read the book series beforehand, then watch the show. And honestly, I do think that the characters that are in the show, like from what I've seen, from what Steve's talked about, and just the in-depth conversation that they have, yeah, I think that if they were to do some sort of a miniature game or even just a miniature series on them so that people have the miniatures available that they can paint up, stuff like that, use them for other games. If you want to use them for D&D and you have like the Lannisters, yeah, awesome, you've got the Lannister models for your D&D campaign. Who knows, it might kick in, but I think it'd be really cool for them to actually go, yeah, I can see it being really cool for them going into that line in that series. And then you get into the whole legal issue where I don't think they'd actually be able to get the rights because Martin's he seems to play a lot of his storyline and the property that's his close to the chest. And I think he was happy that he got a TV show, but that's where it kind of stops. So I actually saw a thing on the internet the other day where he's just has no desire to continue writing his books. So, kind of a bummer there. But, yeah. Anyway, peace out. Love all you guys. All right. Well, Hellbell, thank you very much. I kind of went on a rant there. So, and I lost track of time. So, next up we have Wraithburn. Hey Quirk, I'm looking to get into either X-Wing or Armada. However, I'm having a bit of trouble deciding on which one I should commit to. X-Wing is the more established game, but I like the large scope Armada plus more. Plus, with Armada being newer, I can be part of a growing community from the start. Do you think Armada will grow to attract similarly sized players like X-Wing, or will it always remain second in place to the relevancy of X-Wing? If you don't mind, could you also give your brief thoughts and opinion on each game? Thanks a lot. That's kind of a tricky question because the two games play out very, very differently. They have the same basic structure where it's you use the templates, you move the ships around. If they fly off the base, they're gone, on and on and on. But they have a very, very different play style where with X-Wing, it's very skirmish based where you can play out a game and everybody's always doing stuff. They're all moving all over the place and everything's like interacting with each other all the time. Whereas I personally find in Armada, you've almost always got, if you're playing, for example, the Rebels, you've always got that one ship that just is out in the middle of nowhere, not doing anything. And that might just be from me playing or just from what's happened in previous games, but I always end up getting at least one of those ships that's just out in the middle of nowhere, not doing anything. And that's not because I just don't know what I'm doing, I'm flying it off the board. It's because if I get too close, it's going to get shot off and I'm going to lose it. So the most survivable tactic is just to get out of range. That being said, I find that if you had to compare the two games to two relevant games, like this is for people who don't play X-Wing or Armada, to compare them to what the games are kind of like, picture X-Wing as almost like a kill team game where everybody has their own little role, no one's ever set to something specific. And then consider Armada like a apocalypse game where the little guys that you had before, like the guys you had in the skirmish game before, are now really, really little and have to actually function in groups. And you've got these big, huge ships, almost like Titans, that are interacting with each other. That's pretty much the same aspect you're getting at here, where if you play an apocalypse game and somebody's brought a bunch of Titans against a bunch of Titans, you no longer care about the little guys on the board. They can do stuff. Like, yeah, you can totally have one little guy run up and manage to land a sweet melt-a-bomb and take out a good chunk of a Titan. But it's not likely going to happen. You have a better chance of having the Titan actually shoot the other Titan and do some damage. That's what Armada is. So you get this whole epic, big game feeling thing. Now the thing is, when you consider both two game styles like that, the way they apply to 40K, is that a lot of people like to play the skirmish game. They like to play Kill Team. They like to play just regular 40K, where they have all these little models, and they all have some sort of a purpose. You've got your your Devastator squad, and their job is to blow up things. You've got your Gene Stealers. Their job is to go and get in close combat. You all have your individual guys who have their individual jobs. Same thing applies in X-Wing. You have your Echo, whose job is to get behind other ships and cause a lot of damage or just break shields. You have your Chewbacca or Boba Fett, which are your larger ships. Their job is just to basically soak up damage and just give out tons and tons of damage. Everything has its set design, whereas I find in Armada you have two different ships. You have either a support ship, which job is just to help all the little ships around it, or you have your gunship, which job is just to break other ships. And there's not much of a variety there. So personally, if I was to say which one I think you should get into, it comes down to personal preference. I honestly prefer X-Wing, just because it's got a larger variety to it. It's got a lot more combinations from what I've seen that you can do with it. And I find it to be a little more fun, personally, because you have this very quick game, but it's also very strategic, and you got these little moves, and there's not much of like a haha I got you. It's very much like, oh, my awesome piloting skill has made me do like this wicked little barrel roll in between two asteroids and land behind your ship, and I'm going to do this damage. Whereas Armada, you find it very, I'm going to drift gingerly to the left. So that's my opinion of the two. As for which one I think you should get into, honestly, if you have somebody who already has the games, try and test them out a little bit, or go to a store and see if they have something you can play test there. Get your own personal opinion on it. I honestly think if you like 40K, you will prefer X-Wing to Armada. But if you play any other games, like if you play, well, pretty much any skirmish game is going to play out a lot more like X-Wing, whereas Armada plays out a lot more like an apocalypse type game for 40K. So that's my comparison / opinion of the two games. It comes down to personal preference. My favorite goes towards X-Wing. So. But yeah, there you go, Wraithburn. Hopefully that was helpful. I don't know. I hope so. Dark Vendetta XXX Quirk, where is the Alpha Legion Bat Reps? I'm looking forward to seeing more of that army. Also, what color scheme are you using for them? Thanks and great work. The Alpha Legion Bat Reps are on the way. I know I have at least 2 more that were filmed that haven't gone up yet. It is Alpha Legion versus Ultramarines, I believe. I don't believe that's gone up yet. It might have, by the time this has come out, those Bat Reps may have already popped up. Those were actually really, really good battles. I enjoyed them very much. As for the color scheme that I used for them, I guess I haven't really shown how I painted them, did I? Let me grab one here. So here's just the base coat of them. What I did is I started off with, get right up there. Focus, focus, semi-focus. Nope, still gonna focus on my face. Stop focusing on my face. Look at the bottle. Okay, it's not gonna focus. Anyway, what I did was I base coated them black, and then I hit them with a, it's called gunmetal alloy from Minotaur. It's essentially a, it's somewhere in between the Ironbreaker and Rulik silver, or Rulik brass, or honed silver, or anything like that. Sorry. So it's a very medium silver color, and then what I did with after that was I actually hit it with a blue ghost tint, which is essentially just like a blue wash. They're 2 different things, obviously, but if you're using a paintbrush, you can do it with a blue wash. Just very lightly go over it, and you're going to need probably about 10 layers. So that's why I'm thankful we have airbrushes. Then once that's done, I hit it with a anti-shine to kind of bring it down a little bit. It still has that metallic look to it. Under lights, it has that very shiny, shimmery blue metal look. And I just do all the details with a nice silver. Hi, Lee. Hey. So that's how I got the color scheme there. And then for the shoulder pads, I just freehanded the symbol on them, and then just do everything else like you normally would. Eyes are red, guns are basic gun color, and that's how you get those the color scheme for them. So, but yeah, thanks and great work. No problem. Next up, I have Nod007. Quirk, why have there been so few 40K videos lately? Are they not as popular as they used to be? There's actually a thing that came up yesterday in the office. There aren't actually less 40K. We're still producing the same amount of 40K. It's just if you compare it to all the other specialty games and reviews and everything else we're doing, they kind of get lost in the mix. So it's almost like I had an art teacher tell me this a long time ago, but how do you make something look smaller, put something bigger next to it? How do you lose something, put a bunch of other things around it? That's pretty much what's happening here. We are still producing the same amount of 40K battle reports. They're just kind of getting lost in the mix of our reviews and our specialty games like Fantasy, X-Wing, War Machine, stuff like that. So they're still being produced on a regular rate, and they're still being released at the same time. They're just getting a little lost in the mix, that's all. You look very deep in thought, sir.
I want coffee. The coffee machine's over there.
Then go get coffee. Go ahead.
Yay!
Show them your shirt.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Lee got a new shirt. Here. It's very appropriate for the job he does. Very nice.
It's my job description.
It is your job description. So. Lee also got a Keurig from Matt and Dave for Christmas, and it's slowly becoming the company Keurig. Right?
Nope.
Nope.
It's mine.
He's like, it's mine.
Get your mitts off.
Not allowed to touch it. It's mine. Okay.
Sorry about the noise.
That's really awkward off camera. All right. Quirk, in your opinion, who is the ultimate master of justice planned? Alfarius, Eldrad, Tzeentch, the Laughing God, or someone else? And this is from Trollfin. Oh, I'm drawing a blank now, and I'm glad you're here. There was a Imperial Guard commissar, I think, who basically outsmarted Tzeentch at one point. That's him, Kane. Kane is the master of justice planned. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, there's I think it was a fan story about how he outsmarted him, or was that actually in a book?
I don't know.
Basically, there's a story of Kane playing, I think it was chess against Tzeentch, or it wasn't Tzeentch, it was against Fate Weaver. And the entire time he's playing, Fate Weaver's just mocking him and being like, you do realize that I'm like the master of just his plan. Nothing's going to get past me. You're never going to beat me, on and on and on. And Kane's just sitting there, calm, cool, whatever, just playing everything out. And Zinch's just like, why do you even play? You do realize that I'm basically a god. You're going to lose. Like, there's nothing you can possibly do. And they keep playing. Then, mid-sentence, Zinch is just like, I honestly don't even know why you're trying. And as he's saying it, Kane goes, checkmate. And just, Zinch loses it. Ends up ripping apart a world because he's so mad that he lost his chess match. And Kane's just sitting there like this. And he goes, just as planned. That's my favorite just as planned story. That's why I think Kane's the boss. So, if I had to rank them in order, I would probably go, out of the list you gave me, not including Kane, I would probably go the Laughing God, Zinch, Eldrad, and then Alfarius. And does that make sense to you? Do you agree with that? Yeah, that's pretty much the best I can come up with there. Reason for that was just because Laughing God has kind of, well, he's pretty much outsmarted. Like, he has an entire army of people that outsmart people. So, I mean, the fact that you can train other people to do what you do is pretty sweet. Zinch, I just liked reading the stories about how Zinch messes with an individual person. I've never seen him actually affect an entire group in novel form. I've seen him just like mess with the mind of one person at a time. Favorite one being the Grey Knight. That was awesome. Eldrad, just Eldrad. I got nothing there. And then Alfarius, because Alfarius doesn't seem to have very much of a just as planned. It's more of a, I'm glad that happened. I'm glad that everything went according to plan, but that wasn't just his plan because things seem to kind of interrupt his plans quite often. So, and keep up the mohawk, vault member for life. Thank you. I most certainly will. I have to go get a haircut today. It's growing in on the sides. You can see hair. So, are you trying to get by again?
No, I'm okay.
No, you're just listening to me rant.
Yeah.
All right, next up I have Brocco89. Quirk, how much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? Well, he'd chuck as much wood as a woodchuck could because a woodchuck can chuck wood. Greetings from Australia. Awesome. Are you okay?
Yeah,
Okay. Ross87. Josh! Congratulations, Josh. I'm very excited to see him working for you full time. He's there so often that it was time. I thought he actually did work for you. Yeah.
we kind of did, though.
He pretty much did. He worked for sandwiches.
But there's goodbye.
Okay.
Excuse me.
And there's Lee. All right. Dear Quirk, if Steve died, would the company keep his Iron Warriors? Don't worry, you don't need context.
Stabs.
I was still reading. I get his Dark Eldar. Now we need to plot Steve's demise.
No.
Okay. Right. And next up we have Jerdboy47. This will be the last comment before we go into the vault. Quirk, there's a lot of disagreement in the community regarding whether the 40k fluff should go past 999 41st Millennium. With the new Wolfen release, it's because I said Millennium, isn't it?
Yeah.
Hold on, I can't say it the right way. It seems like the possibility of more progression is likely. How do you feel about that? Are you in the portion of the community that is wary of Games Workshop and or sees 40k as a setting, not an ongoing story? Or are you curious about what is going to happen? I can honestly see them going into like the 42nd, thank you, 42nd Millennium. I still can't say it.
Millennium?
That's it. Anyway, I can totally see them going into the 42nd one and just being like, it's still 40k because it's still within the 40 to 49. If they were at like 49.99 and had to go into like the 50th Millennium, no? Okay. Then there'd be cause for alarm, but we're still in the 40s, so I can't see them being like, oh, it's some huge change. I'm pretty sure they'll have some epic thing about it where it's just like, we're now into the 42nd Millennium and everybody needs to get excited about it. I can honestly see them making it an ongoing story. The reason for that is because, and I will always support like this statement, because if you look at the rule books and all the different artwork that everybody has, on the very front, or at least in the first few pages, you always see a picture of the Emperor sitting in the chair. And if you look at the first rule book, he looks like a dude who's just sitting there chilling. Second rule book, he looks a little bit older. Third rule book, he looks a little bit older. Fourth one, well, now his armor's gone. Fifth one, well, now he looks kind of draggled. And it goes on and on to the seventh one, where it's a skeleton sitting in a chair. So clearly time is progressing as this is happening because his body's deteriorating. Whereas if they were to just make it like a constant setting, they'd use the same picture. And this applies to a bunch of different things where you see all the settings of different armies and things like that. They're always evolving, they're always changing, they're always growing, they're always shrinking, they're always getting demolished. Everything's always changing. And because of that, I can firmly say that 40K is a ongoing storyline. It's not a set in stone place. So that's why I think things are going to change all the time, especially with the new Wolfen release as an example. Things are changing, things are evolving. Otherwise, Games Workshop would kind of pretty much dig themselves into a hole where they don't really have much room for expansion, whereas the ongoing story gives them the ability to come out with new models. It gives them that opportunity to come out with new rules, new codexes, new combinations. It gives people the chance to grow their armies, because it's very, very, well, not very easy, it's expensive, but it's very easy for somebody to, I keep saying easy, but that's the best thing I can come up with right now, for somebody to actually get everything that they could possibly need for an army. Once that happens, Games Workshop, they're going to lose revenue on that one individual person. Whereas, or if somebody finds their perfect army and nothing about this army needs to change because it's perfect, and then suddenly they need room for expansion because they want this person who has the perfect army and has been telling everybody else to get the perfect army. They need something to break that perfect army and expand. Well, if it's in a set universe, they don't really have much to change. Like if you look at how War Machine does it, they've dug themselves into a little bit of a hole because they have that set place. They don't have the universe at their disposal. They have this one planet. So it's very difficult for them to kind of expand and come out with new models and things like that. They have to really stretch the storyline a little bit. When they have a new caster come out, they have to really stretch how they came into play, whereas War Machine, they're just like, hey, you know what, here's Wolfen. Where they come from? Oh, we'll figure something out. But we have the entire universe at our disposal to come up with a storyline. So that's my personal opinion. I don't think they're going to stop at the 41st millennium. Leave me alone, Lee.
Why?
I can see you giggling over there. So I don't think they'll stop at the first one. They're definitely going to keep growing on there. But anyway, that's my opinion. That's what I think is going to happen there. Anyway, guys, that's it for the Sit and Talk. If you are a Vault member, go ahead and click the link below. It'll give you access to the Sit and Vault, where it's another half hour with me talking about whatever you guys left me for comments here, because I still have quite a few, like tons, like pages. So go ahead and click that link below. If you aren't already a Vault member, go ahead and click that link anyway. It'll give you access to the Sit and Vault, as well as all the extra stuff we have in the Vault here, or having the Vault, like the behind the scenes, open vaults, extra battle reports, more continuations of sit and talks and sit and vaults. As well, you can also get access to Chris's painting tutorials, which are always awesome. So go ahead and click that link. Also, guys, don't forget, if you're going to leave a comment for the next Sit and Talk, it's for Dave. Put Dave in the beginning with your comment or question. And if you're answering to any of the comments that I've made, put Quirk at the beginning. And that's pretty much it. So go ahead and click the link below, and happy wargaming.